today is the first day that it's really sunny outside and pretty, and you can hear the birds singing, and it really feels like the spring is coming, so I'm super excited. I'm so over the winter now. We just had a week of crazy storms, like all the furniture in the garden has been flying around and tipping over, and it's just been absolute mess. But yeah, it was like 3 different storms that came one after the other, and I couldn't wait for it to be all done, and it's all good now, it's all behind us. So yeah, blue skies, a bit of clouds, sun coming in and out, so I hope the lighting won't be changing too much, but I feel like I'm ready to go back to the painting. I had quite a bit of a break with being sick and everything from going back to the big canvas. But one thing I have actually realized, every time I would walk into my studio and look at it, it's just over there, so that's why I'm looking there. So there is a bit right in the middle of the canvas, and I feel like I don't like that composition. I want to take off that bit and work slightly over it, and then I want to elongate the kind of the composition slightly. So I'll show you once we go over there, and that's the plan for today. Again, depending what supplies I will use. So if it's going to be oil sticks, they take days to dry, and therefore I'd rather be doing it now, and then in a few days time I can go back and actually try to move forward with the painting and get to like almost finishing line. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So let me take you over to the canvas and we'll take it from there. So welcome back to my canvas area. So this bit here, I find that I would like to kind of push it a little bit back. It's sort of a bit too much in the middle right here. And there's a bit of something here that's going on which I'm not too happy with. So I'll try to work on these areas today. Now here is where I was thinking of maybe elongating the composition. So maybe towards this way. But maybe I'll just create a little of a cluster on this side. Or maybe I'll leave it just as it is. Or just try to kind of connect this to that. So feeling a bit undecisive at the minute, but those are kind of the key points that I want to work on today. So let's crack on with it. To begin with, I wanted to start taking care of that blob in the middle and the mess area just above it. And to do that correction, I just used the lightest color that I used on the probably majority of the painting already. So nothing new. I didn't want to introduce any new colors, nothing like that, just kind of knocking it back with what's already there. And that is the best way of still keeping certain textures and certain colors and patterns from the underpainting peeking through. So I'm not creating a flat surface, I'm not making it look kind of, you know, uninteresting. I still want there to be something from before, but just not as much of it. And the best way of dealing with it is echoing what you already have. So don't introduce new colors to that, although of course you could. Later on you will see I will introduce a couple of new colors, but they will be carefully added throughout the painting and there won't be too much of it. Now I'm moving on to Mars Red, which in these Sennelier Oil Sticks, it seems to be more of a warm-toned brown than the burnt sienna. And it's beautifully transparent, so you can really build it up, and it's super creamy. Or you could also really spread it thin and pull out that orange color from it, as you can see here. So I felt that there was a stack of books next to me, which I stepped onto. I found that adding this color warms up the whole palette, but I still wanted to leave a little bit of that kind of almost dark wine color, like a burgundy, coming through still, but just not for it to be the main dark color, but sort of assisting more than being the darker color. As you will see in this part of the painting, I will be slowing down and speeding up, so I'm gonna add a lot of energy into certain parts of the painting and the composition, and then I will slow down and be more careful with others. So what that achieves is I sort of become less controlling of what is going on and achieving more of the abstract look. And then of course, if I want to be careful with adding a color, like you will see later with the yellow, I will be working more carefully and slowly and strategically, so that that color doesn't overwhelm the entire painting. But where I want there to be some interest and quite sort of dynamic energy, in that piece of the composition I add quite a lot of vigorous wrist movement, and this spatula, that is a silicone kind of soft ending, helps to really achieve that style. The beauty in these oil sticks is that you can build on top of them for so many layers. I don't think there is a possible limitation. The texture will become even thicker and rougher, and you can just play around with them. And obviously you will need to give a few days in between if you're not certain and you want to work on something. For instance, now as I'm editing this video and looking at the screen, I can see almost a line forming across the middle of the canvas with those kind of 4 Mars red blobs there, which I didn't notice as I was creating them. I felt like it was a nice composition, but now I almost feel like I want to take something out of there to make it a bit more organic. So if I still wanted to do that, I would be able to do that in a couple of days when things are dry. When you work with these oil sticks, when they haven't set yet or dried, they basically are very creamy, and they are such a joy to mix and blend on paper with them straight. As you can see here, I'm not using any palettes or palette knives elsewhere, like on a palette, to mix it and then add it to the canvas. I'm just doing it straight on the canvas, and it's an absolute joy because of how buttery they are. However, if you wanted to block something out and you wanted that full opacity, the best thing to do is to wait until everything is fully dry. If you want to play around with blending a color and still keeping the color underneath and kind of blend it out into a different color, then you should work with these oil sticks when they are still not fully dried. As I mentioned before, with the Mars yellow, I have been very careful and slowed down as I was placing it, because I certainly didn't want there to be too much of it. I just wanted to pick through here and there just to kind of mirror or reflect the color of the yellow that already was there, but just on a very kind of small scale. And slowing down really helped me to take time and make sure when I use the spatula not to pull it out too much into the rest of the painting. So this is where I decided to stop. I think it looks tidier now, it looks more balanced, it kind of looks more purposeful. Before, there were certain elements that just weren't really connecting. So the next step will be to obviously let it fully dry, which will take a few days now, and also then we can start the next stage, which will be working with, I think I will be going with a variety of acrylic inks, and I will be creating botanical aspects to go with this color palette. Now I feel a little bit nervous, to be honest, because I still haven't decided on the color palette of the botanical part of the painting, but actually I just noticed something here. But yeah, so that part is to be decided as I go. Today, once I got in that space of mind, I actually started really enjoying painting this piece, and it was kind of getting in the zone and trying to actually ignore having a camera run and film the whole process. That way I felt like I was in the moment, and I feel much happier with it. I, in the end, decided to just kind of make this more of a cluster that's sitting close to this area here. I decided not to take it out any further because there will be a botanical piece coming out here. I didn't want this to start distracting from it. I possibly want to layer over the botanical piece, starting somewhere here and then going onto the paper, and then layering over and connecting it to this piece as well. So somehow like that is what I'm seeing. I want to leave a lot of this as it is. I also love the previous underpainting peeking through. I left some areas as I was working over it, and I'm just seeing these little pieces of the film from the oil sticks. I haven't removed them properly. Yes, and I absolutely love it. Added a few colors today that I haven't used before, so I used the Mars yellow and the new color that I just bought, the Mars red, I think. What is it called? Yeah, Mars red. So that was this gorgeous color here, which actually kind of warmed up the burgundy color from the previous piece, which was burnt sienna. So burnt sienna has a bit of a kind of reddish, cool toned look to it, and then the Mars red has more of a warm toned aspect. So I really loved kind of layering it over those areas and still having the burnt sienna peeking through from some of the areas, so it's kind of more balanced to me. I love the white areas peeking through a little bit. I left some of the underpainting of the watercolor that we used here. I believe this actually was not watercolor, but it's sort of meant to look like watercolor. So this was the acrylic ink, I think. Yeah, so it was the Rowney FW acrylic ink, and I didn't want it to be just a blob on its own and nothing else on the canvas, so I made it be a little bit more in the background, just coming through, so you can see some areas popping through here. And then I thought I wanted to add a bit of that Mars yellow, because I didn't have anything else yellow repeating here, because I covered up that area mostly, so I decided to just echo this color throughout the canvas, just adding a few little sprinkles of it, and I quite love it. So I will leave it at that, let it dry, and then it will be exciting botanical aspect of the painting. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.